syndication model, you could be completely passive. I would rather do that than will be full-time employed by myself going into the real estate business and getting 10 to 15 and 20% by myself, working 24/7 as a business owner.
Welcome to Multifamily Insights. I'm your host, John Casman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. If you are enjoying the show and getting some great value, leave us a rating and review. It helps us and other listeners find this show, and it will help us make this show work harder for their investing goals. Listen, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. We've got a great show today. We're going to be talking to Igor Shaltanov. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you want to grow as a multifamily investor, you have to spend more time with other multifamily investors. And an easy way to do that is to join our apartment investing mastermind group today. Just go to casmancapital.com and click on the mastermind button. Now, as a part of this group, you'll get access to expert trainings, group coaching calls, industry news and updates, as well as all of our webinars and workshops, including our 3-hour workshop on raising capital. Again, if you want to be around other multifamily investors that can help you scale your portfolio today and grow your network, make sure you're a part of the Apartment Investing Mastermind. Just go to casmancapital.com and click on the Mastermind button today. Igor Shaltanov is the founder and managing partner of Avista Fund, a former professional athlete who transitioned into successful entrepreneurship and real estate investment. Now, today, they currently serve as limited partners in 20 different real estate deals, 3,200 multifamily units with a cumulative value of over $500 million. Let's welcome to the show, Igor Shaltanov.
Yeah, John, thank you very much. Like I said, it's always a pleasure. And then thank you for having us and sharing anything I can, right? Help anybody else. So that's always a pleasure for me.
Yeah, Igor, I went over your bio at a very high level. Why don't you take 2 minutes and fill in some of those gaps?
Absolutely. Like a professional career, it's a water polo. I played water polo in Europe. It was in Moscow. And actually, I happened to play with 2 American guys. One of them, UCLA head coach right now, Adam Wright, great guy, helped me a lot. And so sure enough, understood we need to not save money, but invest money, right? And then when you play in professional sports, it's all taken care of. You're kind of in a little bubble, right? Because you're not interacting as much with the world if you just focus on sports and having that issue. So the money come in, a lot of expenses taken care of. And again, I'm in Europe. There's no mortgages. It's all cash paid, right? So you got that access cash, and that was the first idea of myself. So where do I place the money, right? How do you employ the money? It's like, what does that mean? How's the capital works? So, but back in the history, right? So my first life was professional athlete. When I quit, I became a lawyer. So 1 year into the work, I understood this is absolutely not what I want to do. It was a great experience, helped me a lot, but every single day I was like, man, I thought it's a little bit different. And again, I was an assistant judge in the court, so making a lot of decisions, and I didn't like that whole idea, right? And I was not agree with a lot of things. Quit it. We moved to the United States. We opened the business, and the business started to grow. It was the basketball academy for kids. We got multiple locations. At the point, we got to 9 different places we were managing together. So again, my first education background was PE teacher, coach. I really love working with kids, but because I need to connect it to the earning money, all right, and then stay at the same level of earnings as my professional career, at least maybe, not going as much down. So on the path of the PE teaching and coach, I couldn't see myself supporting the family at the level. So that's why I said, listen, I want to do something else. Took that route to the law school, right? And then finished the law school, was working as a lawyer. So, and then became the business owner as we moved to the United States. And the reason we moved, because my wife family, she's a professional basketball player. We met in Turkey. My wife family side, the dad and the son, the dad was USSR national coach, and he was playing at the Dynamo Moscow, which is one of the best clubs in Russia back then. So, and then the son, Yaroslav Korlev, he was drafted in 2005 by NBA team Clippers. So, and that's paved the way for the family to go to United States. And then the 2005, they all moved out. So we're still working in Russia, right, and doing the business there. So, and in 2010, we said, okay, let's go my wife said, not me actually. My wife said, let's take a little pause and go visit them for a second. It was November, and just to understand, get you in that mind and the set, right? So November, it's like could be -10, right? It's snowy, it's pretty cold, dark, right? You wake up at 6, it's dark. You come back from work, it's dark. So you always live in the dark, basically. So she's saying we just finished building a house, and she's saying, oh, you know what? We did so much stuff. Let's go take a couple weeks off, like maybe a month off, and go to California. And then the second I landed in California, I was like, wow. I was like, oh my goodness. Now, nobody told me you can live like that, like all year long, because there's the sun. We go, it's Manhattan Beach. We're going by the pier, right? People in the flip flops and the shirts and the old businessman. And then, the Russia is more like state of New York, like everybody's suited, right? They got heavy coats and, looking like a businessman, right? Dressing like businessman. In California, right? You're talking to a random person, they sneakers, right? In the shirts, and they run the hedge fund. So I was like, wow, I really like that idea. I like that style of living. I like the temperature, right? So that was the biggest point for me, the highest and the biggest point. Why? Because I was traveling about 1 hour, 15 minutes to the practice when I was 14, 15 years old on the subway. And then half of the way it's outside, and half of the way inside of the tunnel, it's inside. So the outside part, when you like all, because imagine, so you 2 hours in the water, it's sucked into your skin, right? You just so mustard, and you're going through that subway, it's open, like it's open, -20 outside could be sometimes, right? You like frozen to the bones. And then I was coming back to my mom saying, Mom, I'm gonna move to the place where there's no winter, no snow, so no cold. So anyways, I didn't know it's gonna be California. We moved to California, opened the business, and from the business standpoint, so I didn't work for 5 years. Why? Because I really like working with kids, passing the knowledge, and without any compensation. It's just I would say it's more of my passion, internal passion. When I'm talking to somebody, I can help out, right? And I can kind of guide them, right? Or just help them to go through the life a little bit better or the faster. So 5 years not working, because every single day I was doing whatever I love to do, right? Whatever my passion is. And then from year 5, it's became business, because it was growing and bigger, right? The money flow and people hiring, firing. So we start to go deeper into the business. Okay, what does that means to run successful business, right? And then so I wouldn't say it's not a passion, but it's less of a passion for sure, because it's a lot of work. It's like a numbers and working with the kids and managing. I mean, not with kids, with people, right? And hiring people, managing people, right? Training, and then let them fail, right? And then let them succeed, running the company, right? Running the meetings and stuff. I became part of different business groups as well. So, and one of them was investing, right? Because as the cash flow start to, go higher, right? So you get more access of the capital. You say, okay, it's got to be wiser and wiser decisions, because you don't want to lose it, right? Obviously, you want to make sure you got future, right? And I have a wife and 3 kids, and then all of my family, right? They're looking up to you. So, and you are provider of the family. And for me, it was very important. How do you feel yourself? It's like, you don't bet on your business 100%, because I do have like a bunch of friends, they really betting on the business, whatever they have in the cash flow, they just pour it into the business. And there's different stories. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, but for myself, it was very important to have something, right, which is building right on the side, and it's building by itself. It's more passive, and the cash flowing, right? That's less risky as a business model in general, right? More secured and more providing for the future. I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, Igor, let me jump in. Yeah, you said a couple things that stand out. So going into your background, right? Kid growing up, in Eastern Europe, sounds like in Russia, right? Is where you grew
Yeah,
up.
it was
But grew
Moscow.
up in Russia, played water polo professionally, did that for a while. When you left that, you became an attorney. Didn't really like that quite as much. And you realized you had a passion for helping kids, right? Just coaching kids, being a PE teacher. And it sounds like your family is just a family of athletes. Your wife's an athlete, her brother's an
Everybody.
athlete, got drafted by the NBA, moved out to LA, was playing for the Clippers. In 2010, you actually come out in November and you left what would have been, negative degrees in Moscow to beautiful, balmy, nice, cool California, Manhattan Beach, and realized this is what I've been missing all my life, right? So you end
I
up,
think
it sounds like you end up staying, right? Did you go back? Did you decide to move at that moment? Like, how did you decide, you know what, LA is where we're going to be?
great question. Yeah. So we never thought about staying until one turning point. So it was a meeting, it was like a dinner for the family, and then was a family manager who was helping us with different things. Because imagine you just moving from Russia, because none of us, I'm talking about the dad of my wife, the brother, and then the mom, they didn't speak fluent English. They didn't know what does that mean to live in the United States? What are the encounters? There's different pieces like the health insurance, the life insurance, there's this insurance, there's car insurance, there's DMV, right, process, there's this. Now we know it and it's simple, right? But then when you just enter the country, it just transitioned. So I would say like 2 to 3 years, you transition from one culture and the system to another. So which is, again, a lot of people, they will quit that even on the process of doing the transition. So we sitting at the dinner, right? And then we have that manager, she was helping us a lot, like, thank you. And she was asking one question. She asked us one thing: why are you guys coming back? Because we have a ticket in November, we came in, and we have a ticket back in January. So, and she asked us one question, right? And that one question just turned our life, like, completely. So she was like, why are you guys coming back? And I just sit down on the chair. I was like, I don't know. I have no answer. Why do I, like, consciously come back? For what? I quit my job. I don't want to be, in the court system anymore. So I'm not agreeing with a lot of things were happening there. So we just had the birth of the first child. He was born in the United States, had a passport as well already. And then looking at the future of the kids, I was like, where do you want to start from zero? So it's ground up start. Like, where do you want to start from zero? Here or there? Where's the opportunity for my generations? It's not a question about myself as much. And then we were thinking through the kids, and for the kids, we said the opportunity will be here, definitely. Okay, let's call my mom and say I'm not coming back. It was like pretty tough to call.
So you were there. You basically said, I'm not coming home. You just finished this home in Russia and just decided you were done and not going back.
Yeah, my mom and dad, they still live there. They love it. They just say thank you every single time.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible that it happened like that, right? You took this trip. You were supposed to just be visiting for a few months
Yeah.
and you end up, staying and moving permanently. So that's awesome to hear. You mentioned, you were working, you were growing your business, things were going well, and you started to look for passive income. As you were looking at passive income, not having everything completely tied to the business, real estate was something that started to pop up. Talk to us more about kind of your journey into real estate investing.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So I think the first ever, like, the idea, right, of the real estate investing, it's not even called real estate investing. The idea of renting and receiving money for the rent, for providing the space. I wouldn't even say renting. So for providing space to somebody. I'm 12 years old, outside in my backyard, right, of the apartment, because we live in an apartment complex, right? It was like 12 stories, right? And there's a lot of kids on the yard. I don't know how to say courtyard, backyard, whatever. So, and we all play around. And then one friend of mine, he was like 2 years younger. He's saying, I'm gonna go pick up cash. I was like, what do you mean? He said, I'm gonna go pick up cash from the guys who's living in our place. It's like, wow, that's incredible. Like, I got two questions right away. Where you got the place from? Like, where you got that place? And then who is living there? And he was like, some random people. They just, again, I don't say the term renting. They said they live there and I was like, wow, you can exchange the space to the cash. That was like first, like, mind-boggling idea. I was like, that's incredible. If I got a bunch of those spaces, I can exchange it for cash. Anyways, it's the first, again, the first lightning, right? And my, like, it's just, the light is turned. And then the second one was my mom coming back home. She's saying, you know what, there's certain things when you work in the government, right? The part of the payout, they can provide space for you to leave. So, and she's coming back and she's saying, oh, you know what, because I worked, I don't know, 25 years in a certain government, right, organization, they give me space to leave. And she said, oh, we're going to do maybe like something with that, and maybe use it sometimes. I was like, listen, I heard one idea, you can rent it to the people. And she was like, no, I'm not sure about that. So I was like, man, we're doing that. And I'm already 20, I'm making money and all that good stuff. I said, listen, I'm going to remodel I'm going to remodel the new place, which is given to you, because it's just a concrete. There's nothing inside. So, and I hired people. So we just did the whole thing. So it's brand new remodeled. I said, listen, my parents, you guys deserve to live in a better place, because it's a brand new building. They just built it, nice, bigger space and stuff. You guys move out to the beautiful place. So you're going to be living in brand new things. And I'll take care of the older place, right? I'll remodel that. I'll do something. I'll touch up a little bit, and we rent to the people. So anyways, it took me about 6 months to really, promote that idea to them, like really like advertise and say, this is what we're going to do, this, blah, 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 we're going to get cash. They were against that. They still against that. So until maybe a couple of years later. So, but anyways, what I'm saying is, so I convinced them, I moved them out. I got two guys who was working two different jobs, two friends, and they were living in that space and paying the equal amount of my mom's salary per month. And that's when her mind started to shift. As she said, oh my goodness, I'm working 5 days a week, right, at the job. And I'm getting the exact same money as these people just living in a place and, giving it to us every single month. And remember, in Russia, there's no, back then, right? I'm talking about 90s, 1996, 7, 8. There's no taxes paid. It's all cash. It's like per cash. There's no mortgage. It's all, you own that place, right? So you got cash, right? Net cash without any deductions though. And that was huge. So anyways, that second turning point struck my mind. Okay, you got one place. What if I multiply those things? And I start to really multiply and buying those things. So, and then I start to become a little bit more sophisticated, because before it was just a saving account. I never thought through what's the NOI, like whatever the return is. I never look at that. I said, listen, I'm going to park 100 grand, 50 grand here. I'm going to park another 50 grand there. So I was like thinking about not to spend it and making sure money worked for me. So that was the first kind of the beginning of my, like beginning of the beginning, right, of the stages of real estate investing.
I love that as a 12-year-old kid, right? You had this friend who said, I'm gonna go collect cash, as if it was just, just gonna find it out in the street somewhere randomly. And you guys had this conversation, and this opens up your mind to this whole idea that you didn't even know what it was. Like, didn't call it renting. But from there, you talked to your mom about it some years later, and that really got the ball rolling on investing. And I think sometimes people take it for granted that, these opportunities exist. And if you don't know that it's possible, then how are you ever going to put yourself in a position to do it, right? You can't. And it starts with the knowledge. And that's one of the reasons we do shows like this is people need to understand that you can invest. You, not, some other person, you can invest in real estate and you can make money.
Yeah.
And I love the way you said your mom was getting rental income that was equal to what she made in her salary.
Yeah.
And that's the power. And that was just from one unit. So imagine if you can grow and scale, which is, what you've been able to do with your business. Talk to me more about what you've been up to more recently with the Avista Fund.
Yeah. So with Avista Fund, the journey started as well for myself, because I was going in a single family house. I was like, man, this is very, and again, I can compare it to two things, right? I was owning units in Russia. I sold all of them. I got last one left. So, and nobody calling you, like people rarely call you with a request to change toilet, right? Why? Because that's intentional thing. I think it's cultural more thing, right? So I got a place, I'm paying money. I'm not going to bother the owner of the place. Right here is absolutely different, right? It's all on owner, right? So if something happened, and I didn't know that so until I just got the first unit. So, and I got single family house, bought it and remodeled the backyard completely. It was like completely trashed though. And then I did kitchen, and it was pretty good space by size. And then because previous owner just did an addition, and I rented to the people. And I got all type of calls. Oh, we got window open call. We got, the tree fall. I mean, every single thing happened in that space. They call me, right? I got eviction. I got whatever you name it. So I got it on that one rental property. I was like, whoa. And the difference between a Russian 1 unit, right, multiplied by 10, I was like, wow, that's absolutely passive. Like nothing you need to do. You put a lot of work up front for sure, yes. But then after, so it's more like autopilot. And I started to compare it to here. So you put a lot of work up front, same amount of work, right? And it's very management intensive every single day, not month, not year, it's every single day. So it's other, and now I start to, because again, I have a business, I get a lot more sophisticated. I start to understand if I want to delegate that thing, how much is going to cost me in California to delegate, right? Property management piece. If I'm like, let's say 5 to 10 units, I'm not 1,000 units, right? Which is going to be 2%, 3%. I'm 5, 10. Oh, it's about 8%. So, okay, what do you make at the end of the year? So you bet your life on appreciation of that building. That's the game, right? The game in California, and again, that's what I found out. Maybe somebody has different models. It's a game of appreciation. So, and my second question was, can I control that thing? Can I control appreciation process? And I was like, no. Like, do I want to be in the business when I have no control? And the second question was no, right? Do you want to scale one house to 10 houses? I was like, absolutely no. So, and then I started to go into the multifamily. I said, listen, what's the next stage? What's the next model, which is going to be above? And you got a lot more control of the process of appreciation, that thing. So, and then that's one. The second one, because it's California, and I was, going on the street saying, how can I buy a 50-unit apartment complex? How can I buy? The easily priced per units 200 plus K where I live, right? 200 plus. So I was like, man, do I have $10 million to put down? Like, no, right? Do I need to partner with somebody? And then I started to ask my mentors from the business side, what do you guys do? And they go, oh, there's syndication model. And I was like, wow, what does that mean? So first time when I heard that word, it's like, for me, it was like a scam. Like, what does that mean? It's like the syndication group of people who owns what. So anyways, I started to deep dive into the syndication idea. So because I think the first person ever I heard, it's a Bigger Pockets, and it was like podcast was Katy Fetike. So she was talking about syndication. It was something like completely over my head. Like I heard it, like remember 12 years old kid about rental.
Yeah.
But then I was like, man, this is completely over my head. It's probably like too big. I shouldn't be touching that. It's for the hedge funds, with the big guys, with blah, blah, blah. So shut it down for my brain. So I said, it's impossible, like saying internally. And then like going again on the street after 50 units, 20 you start to look at the prices, maybe put some LOI, start to get like knocking in the doors. I understood. So there's a couple things. One is you want to get more like 100 plus units. So you want to get more juice. You want to get more meat in the bone. So you can hire a property management company. You can be hiring, right, the guy who's going to be on site, something more sophisticated. It's not going to be like a mom and pop. From mom and pop, my personal operations, I would start to go more like commercial and business operations, right? Because like I said, I start to delegate more and start to be more sophisticated on team level, right? Who's going to be running as a business? What's the divisions of that business, right? Basically, I said to myself, I want 100 units. If I'm going into something, I'm going to go big right away. And my internal ask was, I want to scale that as fast as possible. How can I scale? What's going to be the mechanism? What's going to be the tool I can scale my business fast as possible? And the second idea was, because I was playing team sport all the time, like I tried multiple single like sports, like when you playing was just like, for example, tennis, right? Or you playing, something like by yourself. I didn't like it. So, and then syndication model, it's a team sport. It's a very, very team sport. And the second thing, like people in that space are very helpful. Like they're very open and helpful to you. Like we're talking to each other right now, right? What is that about? It's about sharing the ideas, right? Sharing the people who's a little bit behind, right? How they can get faster to that point. So, and I found it in that space. Everybody's so supportive, and it's a pleasure to be in that space. You want to be in that space. Why? Because it's like you feel yourself the sense of community. Everybody wants to help you. Everybody wants to give you some, crucial experience share, right? So it's going to propel your life like really in the future. So yeah, that's a little
I
bit
love
about
it. I love
how
it,
we
Igor.
get there. And
Hey Igor, let me clarify a couple things you said, man, because I think it's great, especially for that person who is wrapping their head around maybe syndication or maybe had some of the same things that you said. So one, you talked about, in your market, it was very challenging being a landlord, right? Because where you're from in Russia, you buy a property, residents kind of take care of their own issues. Not so much in the United States, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to deal with all the maintenance issues that pop up. From there, as you look to scale, you recognize that okay, these properties are not cheap, right? You're minimum 200,000 a unit, and if not more. So you realize, hey, this is going to be pretty capital intensive. You heard this term syndication, and you said, you know what, that sounds like a scam. I think that's interesting, right? Because you said, hey, it sounds like a scam. Maybe it's for the big hedge funds, but it's not for me. From there, you talked about, really recognizing that you need to have some scale in order for this to work, really looking at 100 plus units. One really quick question, then I want you to elaborate on this thing. When you started looking through Avista funds, were you expanding outside of Los Angeles or were you still focused on LA?
yeah. So the first two deals was I would say California. I wouldn't even say Los Angeles. In
Okay.
California, so we did the um, uh, heavy intensive conversion hotel into the a unit. How do you call those? The studios, right? The workforce
Yeah.
studios, I would say, right? It's just
Hotel
affordable
conversion
place
into
to live.
studios. Yep.
Yeah, affordable place to live for the people who cannot afford to live in San Francisco because it was in
Makes
Oakland, San
sense.
Francisco.
Yep. So
And
that makes sense. So that was the first deal. Yeah.
for me, being in California, I understood that's a huge demand for
Yeah.
that space. It's a huge because people cannot afford pay 5 grand for like a 300 square feet, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, apartment, whatever you name it. So, anyways, that was the first deal. The second deal was as well in Oakland, right? But we got into the place where it's existing. We start to test different products inside of syndication. We said, what's the syndication first? We start with a product. What's the product of the syndication model? So, and then from product, we said, okay, if we like the product, we go into the team. We said, okay, what is the team? Who is leading that project? Because my biggest challenge, I would say our biggest challenge, right, as a fund, was finding the operator because like you
Yeah.
can't get to the website and find 500 operators. Here's a name, here's a principal, here's a 5-star
Yeah.
review, there's 1 star on this guy, there's 5 and blah blah blah. It's not. It's like hidden. It's like underneath. It's under the water. I always compare it with iceberg. You find the syndication, right? And it's just the tip of the iceberg, and whatever the diligence, it's all underwater. It's like a big, huge part of it underwater. So and the team was the huge in our experience, again, it was the huge part of the success for the project because again we saw different things, and we got really good project, and the team just got together. They not tested with the market, they didn't work together as a group of people. They go into that deal and it just completely falls apart,
Mhm.
right? And then the other we got, again, that's personal experience. We got some deals, very tough deals, was a proven operator. He's communicating that we're going through the tough times. Here's what we're going to do. So one of them, for example, was Auckland, California, heavy intensive. The budget for renovation was 3.5 million in the beginning. So it's became 8.5 when
Wow.
we finished the project. So it's not even twofold. Like I mean, I see that project like getting busted completely. It was a
Yeah.
different team.
Yeah.
That team pulled it because they had a fund. They were able to borrow the money from the fund because OZ fund, it's not deployed right away. So they found a creative model to support that project. Now it just runs into the people.
Yeah.
So
You talked about it, right? Definitely want to make sure you have the right people that you're working with. And that's the biggest challenge with syndication is finding the right people. Let's talk about that because you mentioned that initially you felt like syndications were almost like a scam. How did you get over that? I mean, what did you do to change that perspective and realize that, hey, this is actually a model that could be great for me?
I think there's two things we've done. It's one, I went to as many conferences as I can. For in 1 year, I don't know, it's 2020 maybe or so, like as many conferences as I can get my hand, maybe earlier than that. But so the education, that was the first. And the second, placing your own capital and start to see dividends coming back to your account, that was huge. That's probably the best proof by any means, right? Because again, when you see the real cash flow coming back into you, right? Or you see refi, or you see the real exit, you're just like, that thing works.
Yeah.
Because the reason I said it's scam, because it's too like it's too good to be true in a sense. I was sitting in the stock market idea, and then 7%, and then bank accounts, 5% CDs, blah, 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 conservative investing, I hired like a personal manager who was like managing the capital as well. So I'm talking about the traditional equity markets, right? And then after the year, you're like, they give you reports and you're like, oh, it's minus 3% of your portfolio. So, and then, oh, that's cool. That's amazing. So 12 months, right? The money working so hard, you lost 3%. I was like, how's that possible? How's that even possible? I was like, what about you guys? So, oh, we got 1.5%, like 2% of on your money, actually. So I was like, that's incredible model. So it's going to take me like 25 lives to get to the point. So, and then from that model, I was okay, let's look at my real estate experience. It was always working. So can I scale it? And then I look at the syndication model. I was like, and again, if I'm working with my hands on the real estate, I'm getting 10% or like, let's say 15, 20%, right? And then if you go and passively invest in money with somebody, you get about 20 between, let's say between 15, 20%, right? A year. I was like, wow, but then what's the price of me working inside of my real estate business? Is it 100K if I'm really bad employee? Or maybe it's like 500K as a CEO, right, of the company who's running real estate company. So, and then if you include that price in your business, right? So what I'm saying is in the syndication model, you could be completely passive, right, in getting about 20% between 15 and 20, let's say. That's my personal experience again. So, and I would rather do that than will be full-time employed by myself going into the real estate business, right, and getting 10 to 15 and 20% by myself, working 24/7 as a business owner.
I think you said something that's very insightful. First and foremost, that this can be surprising or maybe even shocking or unbelievable to some people. And the first thing you have to do is educate yourself. You know, read what you can read, listen to podcasts, attend events, but start to wrap your head around these concepts. There are people out there who are doing this and leveraging these concepts to drive wealth for themselves and their families. So, one, educate yourself is what you did. The second thing you talked about was investing for yourself. Making that first investment that showed you that this was real and allowed you to say, okay, how can I do more of this? How can I make a business out of this? How can I be a better investor off of this? And it goes back to, I think, the initial problem. The problem was you looked at what you were doing in the stock market. You have a year where you lose 3% of your money, yet your stockbroker ended up taking their fee for 1.5%. You're sitting there scratching your head like, wait, how does this model work? I'm losing money. You're still making money. You make money no matter what. Even though I'm losing money, what am I paying you for? So to step back and realize real estate was the thing that allowed you to see some growth and success before, how can you actually focus on that and grow and scale it? That's one of the reasons so many people are interested and intrigued by syndication. So I love the way you broke that down to help people understand, why real estate makes sense, why they should be thinking about syndications. And it's okay if you have some concerns, right? It's like you came into this thinking, hey, is this a scam? You should be somewhat cautious coming into something that's new or different and then learn, right? But take that step to learn and educate yourself. Speaking of learning, I know you've got a book, right, that they can get at wintherealestategame.com. Tell me a little bit more about this book you wrote.
Yeah. So I feel like it's tailored into the people, like I said, who has like questions about syndication in general. Like, what is that thing? So, and the book, I'm always coming from my personal experience. So one of the things was we sit down with my partner. So we said, before I'm talking about what, so how many deals we need to go through personally to start to really sell that product as a product to the people. So we're going to be comfortable. We're not going to feel like we are fraud or something like that. So we said, let's do 20. So we're going to get into the 20 deals. If they work, so we're confident we can sell that product to other people. So it took us a time to get through 20 different deals, right? And really understand how and they were a different operator, by the way, maybe just one of them. It's just double or maybe two of those guys. So, and we start to really, really dig into the process of like how they work. And then from that part, the book came out. So we said, listen, every person who coming into the market new, so they have no pieces to connect how to win that game. So that's why the Win Real Estate Game book came out, because we said, let's give a high level, what's real estate, what do you need to focus on, and then how you can win, right, doing that game or like playing that game. So, and that's how the book basically just came to life.
I love it, man. We'll make sure we put a link to that in our show notes. We're going to go to our round of insights. Give me a failure or an apparent failure that set you up for later success.
For the latest success. Yeah. I mean, listen, if the project goes right, that's perfect, right? But a lot of times it's not. So one of the things is, which helped me personally, it's stay focused. Don't go around shiny things. It does look like this one is better, that one is better. But then if you focus, especially on the market of real estate, it's not the game of get rich quick for sure. So it's not the game, but it's get rich for sure. Yes, that's the name of the game. You're gonna be for sure, right? Getting wealthy and rich, whatever your goal is, if you're gonna stick to the game. Because like a couple of years ago, like until today, maybe it's a tough downturn, and a lot of people start to look different ways. They're like, oh, I'm gonna look there, I'm gonna look there, I'm going to do this and that. So, but now multifamily coming back in place again, there's deals start to pop up, the prices start to go down. Who knows what's going to happen with interest rate, but like, who cares? If you stay within that game, give yourself a little bit more of the time frame. So you're going to win no matter what.
Give me the book you recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
Again, for myself, speaking of the experience of myself, Think and Grow Rich, that's Converting My Mind book. So I really love it. Highly recommend to the people. When I'm going through tough times, I listen to that book. Like people say I finished or read that book. I feel like I would never read that book. I like reading that book every month or a year. So, and it's something new popping up off of the words. You stick into different ideas, the different depth, right, of that book. So highly recommend it.
Give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for your business.
Digital mobile resource. We use a lot of database, right? Meaning, so the research, the CoStar, right? I think that's a huge one. And I highly recommend the team resource. I really like Slack for a team, for example. This is just, I'm talking about the people work, because remember we mentioned it's a teamwork. So there's a lot to be in the teamwork to make the project work, any type of project. For my company, like, and for our company, it's been like crucial part of fast and immediate communication and never losing the pieces on the way to success. So the Slack was huge for us in that sense.
What's a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals?
For me, working out and journaling.
All right, give me your number one insight for investing in syndications.
Number one, there's a lot of different insights. I would say go after the team. I would say people make a big difference.
I love it. All right, we're going to go in a different direction here. So you've been in California and LA for over a decade at this point. Give me your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
Oh, that's a cool one. Actually, there's that's a good question. I don't know. I'm just thinking through my last couple days now.
Just give me your top one. First one that comes to mind.
I like Urth Cafe if you go for breakfast. Urth, URTH, and then, but it's more of the chain. I'm trying to give you more authentic things, so which is going to be just one thing. There's Paul Mary Italian restaurant in Brentwood. So I think it's Sunset and no, it's San Vincente on San Vincente. San Vincente and Wilshire, I would say. So that's Palmieri Italian place.
All right, sounds like a great option. Well, listen,
Yeah.
Igor, you gave us a lot of great information, man. I really enjoyed hearing your story coming from being a water polo player in Russia professionally, coming from really a family of athletes, moving to the United States, getting into real estate and, having some skepticism around syndications, but ultimately going down that pathway. First as a passive investor yourself, investing your own capital, and then inviting other people to join you after you had your 20 syndications, bringing on other folks. You have your program now and your properties that you help other people through Avista Fund. If you want to learn more, you can go to avistafund.com. You also have your book, wintherealestategame.com as well. So definitely have some free resources that we will link to in our show notes. I just want to thank you again, Igor, for being a great guest and coming on Multifamily Insights. We look forward to staying in touch with you, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, John. It was absolute pleasure. You amazing host, right? Great questions, great reflections on what I'm saying. So thank you guys for having us, and just enjoy your day, enjoy your Friday.